get those heroes as soon as they can. Now we hop into the draft for game number 2, EVOS Esports SG versus Impunity KH.
What is the plan for Impunity KH? But of course, catch every battle, stream like Cray, get unlimited data for all apps with Giller Unlimited GX30 only with you mobile. EVOS SG immediately banning the Lolita. So again, the Chango is open for the taking. They do sometimes pull off the Granger Chango.
Your team.
Meanwhile, Team Impunity KH, they will ban out the X-Borg.
Well, you know, it's X-Borg. That's one of, I would say that he's the hero that will never see the light of day in M1. At the very least, in terms of picks.
High rate.
I think as well as the Grok, although Grok has been picked already, it's not the top, like the top tier ban. It's one of the most picked and banned for sure. I'm 100% sure that Grok, as well as the Hylos, as well as the X-Borg, will get 100% pick and ban rate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see what is the answer coming in from Team EVOS SG. They are taking their time and banning out their second ban. 3 seconds left. What kind of strategy will they pull off? Okay, that is a safe ban for the Cupra, deleting the early game crowd control and the catch that the Cupra has if they will pull off another high loss play.
There should be a Grok here for Impunity KH or a Masha or Hylos. Then again, I think that this is the favorable pick here for Impunity KH. Getting second pick instead of the first pick. Getting the red side instead of the blue side.
Yes.
Why do I say this? Because they can ban out either the Grok this time and then give away Harith, perhaps for EVOS SG, or a Hylos, or a Masha. But the idea is EVOS SG can only get one. And if ever that happens, Impunity KH, they can just go for the 2 picks. Now, I think that they're baiting out EVOS SG to get the Harith this time, and then they themselves will get the Hylos.
They will get the Hylos or probably the Masha, but that is the Grok opening for EVOS SG. Quite safe. They have the jungle invade in their favor right now because of the shields of this Grok. What is the opening for Impunity KH? The Cho is open. The Harriet is open. But they will counter the Grok with the carry true damage and the Kaja pick off here.
You know, so here's the shift in the focus of Impunity KH. Instead of going for the cheeky Hylos type of compositions, knowing that that EVOS SG already picked up the Grok, they will say, now we're gonna have the chance to get the Hylos third pick because we have to prioritize getting the carry and the Kaja this time because it is the answer to the Grok. Nevertheless, they're also not scared of the Hylos because they still have the carry. Then again, EVOS Esports SG, they say, you cannot mess with 2 of the best tanks already in our season.
Movement speed and sustainability is the power, is the answer of EVOS SG to the true damage and the crowd control of this Divine Judgment coming in from the Kaja. And like what you've said, there is the Harriet pick. So we can immediately see for EVOS SG what type of composition that they are having. That is actually a good answer, a good response for Impunity KH. Whenever there is the Zaman Force and the Glorious Pathway, that is an easy target practice for the Chango.
Chango is, I would say, the rookie of the year or rookie of the season.
The rookie hero of the season.
Rookie hero of the season. Or actually, no. The most improved player, I would say, of the season. You know, Chango.
The most improved hero
of the season. Well, you know, we're saying many things about the Chango. If you look back 2 months ago, you might say that Chango is a very hard hero to pull off. It's only a pop type of hero. But now we are seeing, because of the fact that teams have adjusted to it, Chango is a very good hero in terms of taking objectives, taking the jungle camps, like invading against your opponents because of the meteor shower. Well, before I finish, the Chango is a very good objective taker, not because she can hit towers hard, but because she can whittle down the HP of the opponents so that they can push.
From afar.
From afar, indeed.
From afar, the longest range ever in all of the skills.
Yeah, I
Here,
guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess in Mobile Legends.
Well, there's Moskov, but you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, there's Moscow, but man, you cannot actually spam out
Yeah, they
waves
cannot.
with that ultimate. Okay, there is the Akai ban for a team EVOS SG, which counters the Harriet with that Hurricane Dance. And again, another Claude ban for Impunity KH. That is Tams for Impunity KH. Added sustainability for their team and serves as a cover-up for this Shango ultimate. But
Wow.
this is very
Badang.
interesting. Something new from
Your
EVOS
team
SG.
is
Badang as their side laner and Kimmy as their main core hero.
This is very scary for Impunity KH. So that you have the Hylos and the Kimi combination, or a Grok plus Kimi, whichever way EVOS SG wants to pair this up,
Wow.
because they can go for so much pressure on the lanes with this Kimi. Because Impunity KH, they have to react to this. This is no longer a mashup pick where they will split push. This is a Kimi
They will
lineup
fight.
where they will siege
Yep.
so hard that you have to react to them. Badang is going to be there for additional utility and additional damage courtesy of the ultimate. And of course, the wall that he can bring with him, it actually combos well with the Hylos because of the Glorious Pathway. And then you also have the Grok with the Guardian's Barrier potentially.
Valor.
They will siege and they will fight. That is the gameplay for the side of EVOS SG. Meanwhile, they answer it out with a Valier pushback
Yeah.
to counter the siege, like that, like what you're saying. But man, Badang right now is not winning, as I've noticed
it's-
for the previous games.
It's not the
Low win rate.
Yeah, very low win rate
Yeah.
for this day, I would say. But I can see how Badang can work in this lineup, right? Because the Badang can clear out the minion waves also very quickly. But unlike a Masha or unlike a Cho or maybe a Thams, he does not stay in lane. He wants to
Yeah.
clear the minion wave as soon as possible, then participate in the team fights.
Participate
This
in the-
time, there's a lot of impact, I would say, from the Badang just because of the wall in there that can combo with the Grok or the Hylos or the Kimi.
or
Yeah.
the Kimi.
And then you have the damage as well from the ultimate.
Layering of skills for the side of EVOS SG. But as I say this, I do feel that Impunity KH, they responded to the draft of EVOS SG. So it looks like EVOS SG was in the driver's seat because of that Kimi and that Badang quick
Yeah,
pick.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like, for example, the Grok has been picked
Has
first.
been picked, yes.
And then they kind of they were forced to actually pick the carry and the Kaja because,
As
again,
an answer to the Grok.
answer to the Grok. And they thought that the Hylos will no longer be picked by EVOS Esports SG, but EVOS SG says, we can double dip into this lineup. We can overcommit to the Siege lineup because we have very good control of the early game.
Yes, plus they have 4 tanky heroes right now. They have the Harriet. The Badang is quite that tanky, the pseudo tank mechanic. So let's see if
5 seconds
EVOS
till the
SG
enemy
can
reaches the
pull
battlefield.
off another split type
All troops
siege
deploy.
strategy. All troops deploy. Here we go into the Celestial Palace. Zens will be using the carry. Boom as the Kaja. Watt as the Kichango. Ateb as the Tams, and Paragon as the Valier.
EVOS Esports SG, you have Zhao PL on this Grok, you have Odir Bambi on this Harriet, it's gonna be Ace on the Hylos, it's Potato on the Kimi, and Soul with this Badang.
And I like this coming in from EVOS SG. Immediately going to the Shocker to get the blue buff, and well, they will give it to Odir Bambi. Same goes for Impunity KH, but that is the defense coming in from EVOS SG.
What a wall! What a wall from the Badang. They do have the damage. Shango is down for the count. Now Atev actually forced in here. The Kimi is here as well as the Harith. And we were talking about the early game potential of EVOS Esports SG. Oh man, they are dominating Impunity KH right now. I don't understand why Impunity KH chose to actually contest this immense amount of damage from EVOS SG.
And Atev, he actually got the blue Shocker, but that was indeed a waste of time as he dies 2-0 for the side of EVOS SG, immediately controlling the first 2 minutes of this matchup.
And they're not done. They want to go for
They're not
Paragon.
done.
Paragon is down for the count. You got Thams to defend that. But this is a level 4 Odir Bambi Harith and then a level 3 Badang. You cannot defend on your own.
Under a minute and 30 seconds. Right now, EVOS SG, they can go for tower dives like this.
Sense.
That is the pressure and the tension for this M1 contenders, EVOS SG.
We are talking about the potential of the Hylos plus
Kimi.
the Kimi pick. And we can dare say that this is proving to be a great control of the early game. Look at this, 6.4k gold already up for EVOS SG,
Yep.
and only 4.2k for Impunity KH.
Oh my.
This is not good at all from the Cambodians.
Oh my, yes, you are exactly right. As the first turtle will go to the side of EVOS SG and Team Impunity KH. Man, the carry right now, Zenz, will have a hard time in getting his first item. He will actually go for a mask play.
Yeah.
Because of the delay he has. Man, 1k on the pockets of this carry. Plus, this is the second rotation of the objectives. And this is another invade. Man, EVOS SG repelling Impunity KH from getting all of these buffs.
But they did punish the heart this time. The Glorious Pathway is gonna be used. They take out the Kaja this time. Altered Inferno committed by the task, but the Kimi is here. The Grok falls, but it doesn't matter. There's a 2-for-2 trade. Ultimate coming out from the Badang. Zenz is gonna be not
Kimi
gonna have a
damage.
good problem this time. But of course, Soul overextending himself.
But the objective was to get the blue buff, and what neglecting that for the side of EVOS SG. So what an outplay!
What an
coming
outplay,
in from team Impunity KH. That was actually a clutch block from the Grok, but it gave space to for Watt to hit all of the meteor showers.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of recovering from Impunity KH as they diminish the lead by just about 1,500, coming out from 2,000. Then again, EVOS SG, they cannot commit to go. They cannot be overly committing against their opponents, Impunity KH, because while it's true that they have the early game control, they cannot lose it. The moment that they give the control to Impunity KH, they will be forfeiting the mid game,
Yes.
which means that they will find it hard to close out the game. You have to take note, Impunity KH, they have amazing late game potential courtesy of their carry
And the Valier.
and the Valier, and actually the Chango is a very strong hero in the late game.
Of course, the Valier can transition onto on that carry time and time again. We've witnessed the taking time bomb of this gaming composition, but right now, oh dear Bambi with the circus tricks of dashes picking off Mr. Paragon. So space created once again for Team EVOS SG as they will now get the second turtle of the game.
Turtle indeed taken by EVOS SG. We know that they have the strength in terms of taking this turtle. I have to take note, by the way, that the Retribution is not available for any player in the whole game that we have right now. So there is no Retribution play that we can get. That's why they are actually finding it hard to close out the kills on important buffs. But whoever controls the area around that buff or that objective actually wins the battle. It's gonna be Oh Dear Bambi to take it.
And man, third round of buffs
nice
taken by the side of EVOS SG. Niles wild charge right there from the Grok, and the pressure is now on as change of plans for EVOS SG. They will now go for the 5-on-5. That is the initiation from the Glorious Pathway, plus 1,000 punches from the Badang, shutting down two heroes from Impunity KH and destroying the first tower of the game.
Talk about area control coming out from EVOS SG. They have the Glorious Pathway, they have the Zaman Force, then they have the Badang. Whatever it is, whatever kind of terrain they want to play into, they are committing against Impunity KH, and they are winning against them because, again, they control the area, the small area, and nobody from Impunity KH can fight under that territorial control of EVOS SG.
Controlling that narrow space, and of course, this is the first Calamity Reaper from Oh Dear Bambi. So that is his power spike. Can now take 1 versus 2 fights. And meanwhile, EVOS SG, of course, with the Badang in their lineup, they can now go for the split push play.
With the help of the Grok, they are able to take out that stir down the bottom. It's just 6 minutes in. but already EVOS SG have amassed 21,000 gold in the bank.
Quite large.
Quite large at this point. And now, how can Impunity
Turtle
defend against this?
soon.
They have to go for the defense on the bottom lane. They have to take care of the top, and they also have to take care of the mid lane. There's just so much for them to do and take care of that EVOS SG are just way too good into abusing this kind of
And
advantage
they are punishing right now. Ladies and gentlemen, that is another glorious pathway from AC, and they will immediately back off as they will get another objective, and probably the third tower in the top lane. That is
My
the second
goodness.
tower in the mid lane, uncontested. The turtle is open, but Impunity KH, they are trapped within their base.
And it's just 7 minutes and 30 seconds in. We were talking about the advantage of EVOS SG in the early game, and they are not disappointing us this time. EVOS SG, they're also taking the buffs. They've already taken the buff in the top lane. Now in the bottom lane as well. Wild Church to initiate with this. Ultimate from, of course, the Badang. No kill whatsoever, but they will tank the Meteor Shower.
Lots of ultimates missing right here. This is the opportunity for Impunity KH
what a block!
to get back, but nice block onto the carry. He does have the Phantom Step to get out, but 10-4 is the score. Another opening for EVOS SG.
You saw a little bit of nice combo in there from the Grok and the Hylos. When the Glorious Pathway is already laid down, you put the Guardian's Barrier on the end so that your opponents will not be able to escape. Unfortunately for EVOS SG, they did not take advantage of it just because they don't really want to be overly aggressive against their opponents.
Yes,
which is the right decision at this point.
They're just making the right decisions, and of course the discipline from EVOS SG. We've seen this in game number 1. They know their capabilities, they know when to fight, and they know when to take objectives. An open Lord, a free one for the taking for the Singaporean team, as Hylos will backs out all of their opponents. He will die, but that is an exchange for the Lord. 10-6, and they will just wait for this Lord buff to come in.
2 kills in exchange for the Lord. I think EVOS SG are happy to take that kind of trade. They still lead by 9,000 and almost 10,000 if they do force out their opponents into committing in the next coming clash. You have to take note, the Grok is already available with the classic build, going for the rapid boots into the Athena shield. This is such classic because you know what they do with the Groks this time? They go for a courage mask, complete it before actually completing your boots, and then go for no Athena shield at all. And what you do is use the Guardian's Barrier to actually delay the Lord.
But right now they do have the lead, so I think he went for that classic build. As you've said, this is the first Lord of the game, but EVOS SG will just give this away. They're waiting for their course to get the blue, but still the pressure is on the side of Impunity KH. They don't have enough damage to deal with the Grok right now. Grok is just too confident to man up all of these heroes from Impunity KH. They are now entering and knocking at the doors of Impunity KH, destroying another tower.
The tower has been destroyed. There's going to be the Divine Judgment, but Harden's still alive. Actually escapes. No, the Meteor Shower able to close him out. Now, where will EVOS SG fight once more? The top lane has already been destroyed. And onto the bottom, a little bit of pressure. There's a big cannon, a big minion down the bottom, courtesy of the Lord buff.
Yep.
EVOS SG, how will they utilize this?
This is the Kimi damage that they've been looking for. EVOS SG, man, half health here coming in from the area. Another Glorious Pathway. Phantom stepping in for Mr. Zenz. 2 heroes falling down for the side of EVOS SG. They will now go for the disengage, and nice outplay and pick up for the side of Impunity KH. Ateb still wants more, still finding heroes, but they will just back away.
Very nice usage of the Meteor Shower to actually fend off the members of EVOS Esports SG. We talked about how important having the range against your opponents and the damage as well. With the Meteor Shower. You saw even the Lord melt against the Chango as well as the other members of EVOS Esports SG.
But again, that is just level 1 Lord, and this is the Kimi taking time bomb, as we said, from the side of EVOS SG. But again, discipline is the name of the game for this team. They don't want any clash. They're just hoping for an outplay. Impunity KH, like what you've said, carry can shut down everyone, even Zhao PL. Plus, there is the threat of the Divine Judgment onto the Meteor Shower. So I do feel that for the side of the carries of EVOS SG, Kimi and Carry needs to be very careful.
And you have to be also smart about how you approach this if you're EVOS SG. Because your lineup, your strength has an expiration date.
Yes.
As longer the game goes, you want Impunity KH to be favored because of the fact that they have the carry and the Chango.
Yep.
But EVOS SG, they still have plenty of time to work with. It's still 12 minutes in, and they've already shoved the top lane, already took out the inhibitor in the top lane, and they still have control of the map at this point.
They need to build Athena Shield right now in order for them to soak up lots of damage from coming in from Watt and coming in from the Valier, because they're having a hard time due to the fact that Team Impunity KH has the spam mechanic. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, Team EVOS Esports SG forcing themselves into the mid lane. I do feel that they need to go back to the play that they have earlier at game number 1. Bait the Glorious Pathway and let Impunity KH go all out, use the Divine Judgment and bait all of the skills that they have.
But what is happening right now is that EVOS SG, they're doing what they did in terms of taking the first Lord. This time though, the full cavalry from Impunity KH is here. They're trying to force this one out. Potato as well as the Harith from Odir Bambi, they're taking care of business in this Lord take.
They're taking a long time.
Taking a long time indeed. They don't have Retribution, by the way.
They don't have Retribution. Here we go for man! The 1,000 punches from the Badang taking down one. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes another Zaman Force, and that is a V
from
the map. And what? Nice block coming in from the Grok. The Grok block is just too real right now for Team EVOS Esports SG.
And I think the Grok deserves that double kill after, of course, landing that good Guardian's Barrier. But talk about EVOS SG just using the Badang and the Terran to actually take out the members of Impunity KH.
And we were wrong. Team EVOS Esports SG taking game number 2 and winning the series. They will now have 3 points.
3 points in the bank for EVOS SG after falling in the first series. This time against Impunity KH. They are able to land that to clean 2-0. Game number 2, we talked about the draft. We did mention that they have very strong control of the early game. And boy, did they not disappoint.
They did. Man, the first 2 minutes was indeed a clear win for EVOS Esports SG. Getting the blue buff.
Oh my goodness.
Forcing Team Impunity KH to contest with their blue themselves. But man, EVOS Esports SG knows this. And man, as we look at the post stats, EVOS SG with a redemption play coming in from the series number 1, AC was your MVP of that game.
Oh yeah, Odir Bambi is there. You can see the Harith with playing so well. They have ace on, of course, this Hylos. But overall, this is like a game of drafts where it's just that EVOS SG, their early game, cannot be contested by the lineup of their opponents.
Yeah.
There's just way too much control.
Way too much control.
You have the Hylos and the Grok. You have the Kimi. And even in the first minute where Impunity KH tried to go for the play, for the invade play, they failed horribly. And this is actually the replay that we're going to see. Even with just the usage of their level 1 and level 2